In 1995, Midway Games released Mortal Kombat 3, their third entry into the highly successful Mortal Kombat series. Mortal Kombat was and still is one of the most controversial game series of all time. Parents and politicians hated it due to its focus on gore and violence, to the point where that fancy little letter that you see on every game case since 1992 is a direct result of Mortal Kombat.
After 3 official entries, a compilation game, it was time for Mortal Kombat to leave the 2D sprites of the 90s and enter the newest dimension, the third dimension. Mortal Kombat 4 released in 1997, boasting fancy new graphics and a brand new weapon system.
Now, sadly, I do not own MK4, so I'd like to thank 616 Entertainment for allowing me to use his MK4 footage. Thanks, Ian. I couldn't find any rough sales numbers on MK4, but I would assume it sold well enough because it got an updated port on the Dreamcast called MK Gold that added new characters in the form of Sector and Melina. Now, MK4 got decent enough scores in the low to mid 70s, which, not bad, but after this, Midway Games would take a 5-year break to craft the newest blood-soaked entry into the Mortal Kombat franchise. First being shown off at E3 2002, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance would be a full-blown revamp of everything that was pre-established, featuring a completely new engine, a complete overhaul of the gameplay and presentation, and brand spanking new graphics. To help promote the game, band Edema would create a song named Immortal, with the music video featuring Scorpion. Real quick, their first album is a 10 out of 10, seriously go listen to it. Anyway, back to the game. Mortal Kombat DA for short will release in 2002 for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, for the first time completely skipping an arcade release. I said everything you knew about MK before was changed, and I meant that. New to Deadly Alliance is the new style system. Every character features 3 different fighting styles, 2 hand-to-hand styles, and 1 weapon-based style. And all the martial arts are real ones, which are really cool to see, like Hapkido and Shotokan Karate, which, yes, does allow Sub-Zero to join the Shoto Club. Some characters feature a stabbing weapon that will slowly drain damage from your opponent. Now, this can aid you, but also it leaves you without a weapon for a short period, so use it wisely. There's also these power-ups that I've never figured out how to do, but here they are. Every character plays completely different to each other, and I actually really like this. Now, one complaint I already have is that we're back to only 1 fatality per character. Now, it isn't that terrible, but I do wish we could have kept the 2 fatalities. Deadly Alliance still does feel very smooth to play. I was expecting it to feel somewhat clunky with it being an early 2000s 3D fighting game, but it plays silky smooth.
Now, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance is a game that I have a bit of a history with, as it was indeed my first Mortal Kombat game. See, back in the day, I'd say around about 2012, 2013, I'd go over to my older cousin's house when my aunt would babysit me, and my cousin still had his PS2. And what would he play? Deadly Alliance. I'm using the Xbox version for effect, but anyway, we played the PS2 version, and honestly, it was a good game. Very good game. For some reason, I always picked Elite May as my main, which I honestly couldn't tell you why at the time, but that was my first experience with Mortal Kombat.
Making their franchise debuts, we have the Crypt. The Crypt is a row of coffins sorted from AA to ZZ. These house the game's unlockables, such as characters or behind-the-scenes videos. Now, the Crypt lasted all the way from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance all the way to Mortal Kombat 11, which is really cool to see. There's also the profile feature. What this does is save multiple profiles to one save. So say you and your friend or girlfriend want to have separate saves. There you go. You do have to create a code though, and mine is always up, up, down, down, left, right because it's easy to remember. Other game modes include the Conquest mode. Now, if you are familiar with what Conquest mode is in the later games, it's nothing like that here. In Deadly Alliance, it's just a glorified tutorial. To be fair, it is actually good that it does teach you everything about all the characters, but I kinda wish it wasn't just a glorified tutorial. Speaking of characters, we have some new faces. I mentioned Liu Mei before, she's one of the new female characters. There's Frost, who is just a female Sub-Zero, Mavado, who leads the Red Dragon Clan, Bo Raicho, who... well, I think I'll just let Scott Steiner explain it.
He's fat!
Stu Hao, who nobody likes, the fan favorite blind swordsman Kenshi, Draman, who was just a meat with a mask, and Natara, who's a sexy vampire. The story here is very simple but good. After escaping Scorpion, Quan Chi discovers the undead army of the Dragon King, so he forms a tag team with Shang Tsung called the Deadly Alliance. And they don't play around, killing the biggest face and heel in Mortal Kombat. Shao Kahn is killed by the duo, and the most shocking one is the fact that Midway decided to kill off the series protagonist Liu Kang. This is one of the only times that I can think of where a game killed off a pre-established protagonist. And this is back when you had to wait until the next game to figure out what happened, but we'll discuss that when we get to Deception. Now, of course, there is an arcade mode that features 10 opponents with 2 final bosses, the Deadly Alliance themselves. Quan Chi is somewhat of a challenge, but Shang Tsung is a damn pushover. I beat him first try. Now, granted, I was on easy when recording this, but still. The sub-boss Moloch is just cheap as hell, but he just spams his Wrecking Ball. But it seems he can't do jack shit against weapons, so get to spamming. After being in the arcade mode, you're presenting with the classic arcade ending, but we're back to the simple static images with narration. This sucks because in Mortal Kombat 4, we finally got fully animated endings. So it does kind of feel like 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards, but I do think this is because of the whole new engine that this game is running on, so I can't really fault the team for that. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance sold over 2 million copies and got way more favorable scores and reviews compared to Mortal Kombat 4. Now, 2 years later, in 2004, Midway would once again evolve the series, taking us from Deadly Alliance to Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception released in October of 2004, and hot damn if it doesn't improve on the formula established in Deadly Alliance. Now, Deception features some of the most memorable features and game modes ever seen in the series, so let's waste no time and get into it. The game keeps the same shit from Deadly Alliance, but only improves on it. That means it improves on the movement and the fighting styles. The intro shows off the ending to Deadly Alliance, where all the Earthrealm warriors have been killed and the Deadly Alliance go over on raiding. Probably the first time the villains have won in a Mortal Kombat game. And all of a sudden the Dragon King Onaga shows up and no-sells everything, even no-selling Raiden's sacrifice. New to the combat Deception is the death traps. These act as automatic stage fatalities. Now, these are cool for stages like the Acid Bath or the Pit, which get awesome 3D remakes. But if you can't get a death trap and you win, you have one of 2 options. Finally, we are back to 2 fatalities per character, with some of the most memorable for me in the series. Now, they did bring back the stupid distance requirement. Now, considering this is a 3D game, I feel that Deadly Alliance made the right choice by not having a distance requirement on fatalities. But, say your friend kicks your ass and you don't want it to pull off his fatality. Well, just put in your Harakiri code. This is where you kill yourself and do not give your friend the luxury of pulling off a fatality. Yeah, let's go, come on. Boom, fatality time. Wow, you put in your Harakiri code? Yeah, you're not pulling a fatality off on me. This game is just overflowing with content with 2 bonus game modes. First, we have Puzzle Combat. It's literally Mortal Kombat Tetris, and it's actually fun. I like the little chibi versions of the characters fighting as you control the puzzles. I have no complaints about this. This is a fun game mode. There's also Chess Combat, which is just chess with some fighting thrown in. Now, that's not an insult to that. I find normal chess to be boring as hell, but this I can get behind. Now, there's also Conquest, but here it's actually an open-world action-adventure game. Yeah, they actually got the memo this time. It follows Shujinko, and it follows his quest to gain all of the Kami Dogu that lasts him all of his life. Now, there is still tutorials for all the characters, and that's my only complaint about Conquest mode here, is that there's way too many here, bro. There are way too many tutorials. Again, it's not a bad thing that it teaches you all the characters, but there's way too many in my opinion. Now, near the end, there is a part where you have to learn most of Kenshi's moves. Then you get this combo. I cannot for the life of me get this combo down, and it pisses me off. And the game doesn't let you progress after without completing it. So after about 30 minutes, I gave up and moved on. Maybe someday I'll go back and complete Conquest mode, but that day won't be today. I don't hate Conquest mode by any means. I actually think it's a really good mode and really done here, but I do need to provide my honest feelings with making retrospectives. As is tradition, we have new and returning characters. Some of the new characters are Akira, Hotaru, Ashura, Dairo, Darius, Shujinko, and Onaga. And finally, Cobra. Now, what do you see when you look at this? Looks like Ken Masters to me. Now, to be fair, I do believe that Cobra is supposed to be a nod to Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai series. I mean, his color scheme matches the logo pretty well, so despite him looking like Ken, I do believe this is a Karate Kid reference. We also have a lot of returning characters from Mortal Kombat 3 in the form of Nightwolf, Jade, Sindel, Cabal, Ermac, and Noob Saibot and Smoke. They're actually paired together here, which means they lack a weapon style, but Noob and Smoke don't play around. They are beasts in this game. Playing through the arcade mode, the final boss, Onaga, is tough. See, in order to beat him, you need to touch the Kami Dogu to stun him, which I think is pretty annoying. Ah, damn it! Come on, man, I had that. Ah! Let's go, I'm gonna do this. Yeah! Beat his ass. And once again, we have static images with narration for the endings. Deception sold over 1.9 million units, getting a GameCube and a PSP port. My PSP copy no longer works for some reason, so I cannot show you that, so that's always nice.
This was just part 1 of 2. Next time, we're going to take a look at Mortal Kombat Armageddon and Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not doing Shaolin Monks, it's because that game is in its own retrospective. It's so good, man. Anyway, join us back for part 2.